So the first thing we're going to hang is going to be our motion detector. Now the motion detectors are all wireless. They really can go wherever you want within the home. The best place to put them is kind of in a centralized area where somebody would be walking through. If somebody broke in a window or came in a door that was unprotected, they would very likely cross this area. So like a living room, a hallway. For this particular application, I'm going to put mine in a kitchen that kind of covers the living room and everything. They can be mounted really flat against the wall or also in the corner. If we put them in the corner, we will generally get the best protection. The motions look out at about 130 degrees. So if we put them in a corner, we'll get the entire room. If we put them in a wall, we'll get a good chunk of the room, but not every bit of it. So I'm going to put mine up in the corner here. We want to put them up about 6 feet from the floor at least. You want to make sure either good double-sided tape or screw them to the wall. You also don't want the motion detector to be really looking directly out of a big plate glass door, plate glass windows. As those windows heat up and get cold during different times of the year, it could potentially cause false alarms, so we don't want any of that. So I have mine here in the living room, kitchen area. I'm kind of covering everything out, getting a good trap zone that somebody would cross if they broke into my home. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to mount our door contacts to the door. So we've got our front door, our back door. You may have a front door and a side door. You may have multiple doors, and that's okay. The couple things we want to remember when we're installing our door contacts. If we look at our door, we've got our door handle side, and then we have our hinge side. We always want to put our contact, whether we put it on the side or we put it on the top, we always want to put it on the door handle side, not on the hinge side. If we put it on the hinge side, what could potentially happen is when the door is opening, it's still never really losing the magnet. It's still too close to the magnet, so it never goes off. Now, it really doesn't matter if we mount this straight up and down nice and pretty, mount it upside down. The only people who really know it's upside down are me and you. Or if we mount it horizontal on the door as well. The only thing that does matter, if you kind of feel it, you'll feel a little bump. And if you look at your magnet and you kind of feel the magnet, you'll feel a little bump. We just want to make sure that those bumps line up. And when they line up, you notice that the contact actually is nice and pretty and parallel at the bottom. Now, if we were to mount we look at the door, and this is a good example of a door that could be different. If we try to mount our magnet over here, we run into a potential problem that my door doesn't open. It'll keep bumping the magnet. We don't want that. If we mount the door contact up on the trim, that's okay. That'll work fine. If you do mount it on an uneven trim like this, what I would suggest is that you do screw it down. You could, if it's not a good solid surface, you don't want it to fall off with the double-sided tape or a Velcro. But if we put it up there, you could do that. But what you do want to do is you want to use the spacer that comes with the magnet. Not always needed, but in this application we would, because my door is recessed back just a hair. In order to get the magnet up there, we would want to put the spacer on there. So we could do that. Good application. We're within that kind of a little more than a quarter-inch gap where the door contact will work fine. They are designed to give you a little bit of leeway because no door is perfect. No door opens and closes exactly perfect. So they're designed to have a little bit of leeway. Again, if we're screwing it down, we want to make sure that we've got the cover on there good and tight and the red light is off. Red light's on, that's a problem. That'll cause false alarms and your system will never work correctly. On my door here, what I'm actually going to do, and what I think is a better application, is a horizontal. If I look at my door, I have a little bit of a gap between the top of the door and the actual frame. So if I mount the magnet up on the top of the frame there, I'm far enough away from the bottom there where my door can open and close with no problems. The magnet's nice and hidden. It doesn't stick out. And then I can put the contact right there at the top of the door. And I'm good to go. I do recommend that if you're putting the contact on the actual door and not not the magnet. Because the contact's a little heavier, it's got the battery inside there, I do recommend that you either use a really good 3M tape, make sure your door is good and clean. A small alcohol swab can clean any kind of dust or grime off the door so the contact will stick good, or actually screw it down to the door so it doesn't fall off with people opening and closing the door a whole lot. But you'll see we've got a good clean application there. We would do the exact same thing on our other doors, a back door or a side door or a door going into the garage maybe. Our next video we're going to do is actually going to be mounting the keypad. So let's go do that now. The next thing, and really the final thing that we're going to mount, is going to be our keypad. Now I do recommend on the keypad that you do one of two things. Really screw it down. It's a little heavier. You notice it has 3 batteries. Can't have an optional 4th battery, but they come with 3 batteries. It's a little heavier. If you tape it, double up your tape or double up your Velcro so it's good and sturdy, because people are going over and they're touching it and they're arming and disarming it. A little more interaction. I would probably try to screw these down if you can. So you'll pop the cover off. Now I'm not going to screw it for the video, but what I try to do is mount it up parallel, good and clean, to stuff like a light switch. The light switch is never going to move. It's always going to be there. So if you put it there, the chances of blocking it with a piece of furniture or something isn't as likely as just randomly putting it somewhere on the wall. Generally close to the front door. They're all wireless. They can really go wherever you want them to go. Front door is going to make it a little easier for people who are coming into the home, whether it's a real estate agent or somebody who's not here all the time, to easily find it. So we screw and screw to the wall. We'll take the bottom, snap on, lock it down, and then we'll take our small screwdriver and just flip that over to the lock, and that'll lock it good and tight to the wall. The next thing I'm going to do is grab the camera and zoom in, and that way I can kind of show you what the keypad's going to look like, and we can walk through clearing it. So now that we've got all of our equipment installed, we're ready to really kind of finalize the system. One of the things that we first need to do is we want to be sure to call COT on camera and make the system live. Go ahead and activate it for monitoring and email notification. Once we've done that, and you can do that anytime, probably about 48 hours in advance of doing your installation. So we've got the system active. We've got all of our equipment hung on the wall. We've got our control panel in the closet in a cabinet, sitting down where the tamper's properly pushed in. The last thing we're going to do is come over to our keypad, clear any kind of troubles that we may have, and go ahead and test the system as well. So first thing we'll do is we're going to hit OK. That'll kind of wake the keypad up. We notice that we currently have a tamper. So what we want to do is enter our 4-digit code first to acknowledge that. 3525, OK. It will tell us that we currently have a tamper problem. If we hit OK, again, we have a tamper of the control panel, OK, and that's it. Everything else is good. So we're going to see back to disarm level 1. Now we're ready to go. We can actually arm and disarm the system and go about our business. One of the things you can do at any time is you can hit OK and hold it down. And if it pops up, it'll tell you ready to arm. Sometimes it'll pop up and say fault front door or fault back door. What that means is either the door is open or you haven't properly got the door contact aligned. The magnets aren't close enough to the actual contact. But as long as we get it ready to arm, we're good to go. So what we're going to do now is 3525 away. And away just means exactly that. We're going away. The keypad will start to beep. It will beep for 45 seconds. That 45 seconds is telling us to get out of the home. If you are there doing some work on the home and you've got tools and that kind of stuff, you want to make sure you've already carried all of that outside. When you arm the system, you want to arm it and head out the door and go about your business. You want that door closed, back closed to normal, before the 45 seconds is up. You'll notice in about another 20 seconds, we'll start to hear a faster beep. What the faster beep is telling us is, hey, you're almost out of time. If you hear the faster beep, my recommendation is always to walk over to the keypad, 3525, off, and start over, because you're probably not going to make it. So now the system is completely armed in the away mode. We're good to go. We have left the premise. If we're testing the security system, however, maybe we stayed in the house. We armed the system, we stayed away from the motion detector, and we armed the system. We've got our away, we're armed. What we want to do now is really walk around, open all of our doors. We want to walk in front of our motion detectors. And you notice when I opened the door, it started beeping again. The beeping that you're hearing now is the 45 seconds for us to get to the keypad and disarm it. Under normal application, you would always want to do that. For your testing purposes on the installation, you don't. What you want to do is leave it alone and let it go through its entire 45 seconds, and then we're going to get a solid beep. That solid beep means that we have activated the actual alarm. What we want to do when we've activated an alarm is let the beeping. So if you hear now, you hear the solid beep. We've activated the alarm system. It is calling out over the cellular radio to the central station. We want to let it do that for about 60 seconds. The system has a false alarm feature in there that if you go and you turn it off before it connects to the central station, it will cancel and stop the call. It does that so you don't have to worry about any kind of false alarms. Great feature for your normal day-to-day. For testing, however, we want to go all the way to the central station to make sure it works. So we're going to wait about a minute. Then what we would do is come over here, 35, 25, okay, or 35, 25 off, and that will clear us and get us back to normal. If we want to know what went off, we can go over to okay. We're ready to arm. It already cleared our troubles, our arms. Sometimes you could potentially see a fault front door or a back door in the alarm if the door is still open. I'd already closed the door, so we didn't see that. And then wait about another 60 seconds or so, and your office at RESICAP should have email notification that the system went off and it was the front door, and the system went off and it was the back door. They'll also see stuff like the tampers will all be in the history of the monitoring as well. Once we've tested it, we know it works good. It's talking with the central station. We're going to do the same thing again. We are just going to 35, 25 away. And we're going to head out the door and head on to our next job site. Hope this video was informative. If you have any questions or concerns, please reach out to Caught on Camera. Thank you very much.